Chapter 4 just got a bunch of brand new little teasers and clues about the upcoming game's story and ARG details you don't want to miss, along with some big updates on a Chapter 2 remaster coming super soon. Chapters 2 and 3 are finally coming to console. There's been a bunch of new Poppy drama and tons of other stuff, but let's get right into it. So first, over the past year, we've heard rumors that Chapter 2 was going to get some kind of a remaster to update some of the flaws on release a couple years back, kind of like what happened to Chapter 1. And while for a while these were just rumors, we finally got confirmation of this update, as over on the official Spanish mob account, the devs started tweeting some photos of what appears to be a new, slightly remastered version of Chapter 2, along with more recently releasing some little video clips of the remaster. Like, for one, there's this clip showing an adjustable flashlight that can be turned on and off, something not in the second chapter. Or in this clip, we can see that the chapter is much darker in terms of lighting compared to what we have in the base game now. So it seems like this remaster is finally coming super soon and will include a bunch of different changes, which look almost as good as the Chapter 4 updates we talk about later in this video, so stick around. In some sadder news, recently animator Zoriak announced that they've left Mob Entertainment, which is actually really bad for the games because they've worked on a ton of important animations like the Nightmare Huggy chase scene, along with many other important things in Chapter 3 that made that so good. And this is among the many other very important developers who've left the team over the past few months during Chapter 4's development. So I'm super curious on how this will affect the future game's quality going forward, because the development team is much different compared to what we had in the first 3 chapters. On the brighter side, in my last news video, we talked about how Chapters 1, 2, and 3 would release on the PS5 physically this Halloween. However, the devs more recently officially announced the second and third chapter would also be releasing on both PlayStation and Xbox digitally much earlier on September 20th. So here in just a day or two from when this video comes out, and I'll definitely make sure to be streaming it, so make sure you guys are subscribed to not miss that. Plus, they've even released some new renders for the chapters, banners, and icons, which all look super cool. But these renders in particular bring me to a little bit of drama in the community as well, since once I posted about these new banners on Twitter, the post started getting a ton of negative attention, as people started to point out that the catnap render used in the Chapter 3 banner was actually traced from a fan render pretty blatantly, I might add. And while of course this is never a good thing, this is actually something that is pretty common, especially in the indie horror scene, where artists just Google references for characters and use whatever looks official without doing any further research. So Mob was thankfully quick to fix the issue, changing the art slightly and apologizing to the creator, which is always great to see. Moving on, recently a lot of people have been wondering what happened to the Poppy Playtime multiplayer game Project Playtime, which released back in 2022 and hasn't gotten an update in almost a year, seemingly being abandoned as I've talked about in other videos. And while still not much has really been revealed, content creator Nice announced that he would actually be interviewing one of the developers, Toby, who worked on Project Playtime, and discussing the state of the forgotten game in a podcast soon. Now, chances are once this releases, it won't contain any major updates on the state of Project, because if there was any news about the game, we'd have heard about it by now. But hopefully an actual interview with the game's creators could help tell us at least why the game got seemingly abandoned, and possibly when we could expect to hear from it at some point in the future, but I guess we'll see. But now, moving on to the main part of this video, the Chapter 4 updates, there has been a ton. As if you watched my last video, the developers just released their third and final chapter recap video, which at the end revealed to us something big was going to be happening on September 30th, whether that be a trailer or ARG update or something huge. And a little bit after this update happened, over on the Poppy Playtime Discord server, a new account popped up inside called Playtime Co. This is an account that's been used previously in other ARGs to send small messages, but other than that, it really has never been active, at least until now, as they would randomly message the chat on that day saying test, followed by can you see this? Can you see this? Is this a secure board? We repeat, is this a secure board? Sounding like this account was trying to connect and message the server. From there, then people started trying to chat with the Playtime Co account, and interestingly, it would actually begin to respond, with this user confirming they were connected, getting the reply, prove it, on felted feet and with bated breath, repeating the first part of the chapter chapter 4 riddle we got during the recap videos, which is extremely weird. And then the account started reading the riddle back and forth with the chat, ending with the fan saying, "But I am not afraid of death, for we have already met," which Playtime Co very interestingly responded saying, "Indeed we have," seemingly suggesting that all of the A or G clues we've been getting during the recap videos that spelled out this riddle were actually from whoever this Playtime Co account is, and were sent as some kind of a hidden message, kind of like what happened in the Rowan Stoll ARG back in 2022, where an employee was sending us documents telling us how to access some files, and they were asking the people in the chat to repeat the riddle to see if they have cracked their message yet and are clearly trying to tell us something. Somebody even asked them if they were the ones sending us the little messages in the ARG videos, to which they replied, quoting the riddle, "For we have already met," confirming whoever's behind this account might be one of the characters or employees who we've already met in the factory before, especially since someone straight up asked them, "Who are you?" getting the reply, "Why ask when you already know?" confirming the messenger is somebody we, or at least the player, is familiar with. But then, who? Well, we don't know for sure, and maybe we'll learn in the ARG. The only thing they themselves confirm about their identity is that they are multiple people, since every time they message, they refer to themselves as we. But I theorize it might be the same person who was talking to us back in the Project Playtime VHS tapes and the Chapter 3 ARG. As, if you don't remember, in both of those cases, we famously were receiving messages from an unknown entity giving us information about the factory, who spoke very similarly to this character on Discord, saying things like, "Can you hear us? Can you see this?" Almost repeating the exact same words seen in the Discord messages. And the groups also refer to themselves as we, which isn't confirmation, but it's my best guess for now. But moving on, they go more into what they want from us in some more messages saying, "Hello again, we need a favor," before posting one of the most intriguing chapter 4 teasers we've gotten so far, showcasing a list of what appears to be a bunch of computer commands like hostname, check disk, cipher, and many more, along with this weird spiral symbol here in the bottom right, which clearly means something, but I really have no concrete theories as for what. But they did give us a little bit more info themselves about what this image means, giving us some instructions saying, "More instructions to follow. They will be invisible to your eyes. When you receive them, we need you to run icepick.bat on c/domain/network/globals.authenticator." Now, first off, this little file path thing here, if you didn't know, is basically just a location of files on a computer, which seems to suggest and confirm that in this ARG, we are going to be accessing somebody else's computer in some way and digging through their files similar to past ARGs. And the Playtime Co account even tells us to run icepick.bat, which from what I've gathered online is a batch or BAT file, a file type used to store scripts and commands that can be run when activated. And judged from the file name being icepick of all things, it sounds like this will be some kind of digging and decrypting script that we will use on this file path to unlock some secrets whenever we find this computer database they are talking about, likely to be revealed on the 30th announcement. Somebody also asked the account, "What if we don't have access to what we need?" Which they replied telling us, "When you need it, you will." Again, basically confirming we don't have what we need to solve this entire ARG yet, and these are just little teasers meant to give us some small breadcrumbs to theorize about. And perhaps most interestingly of them all, before leaving the server once and for all, they asked us what the date and time was, which someone replied to with the date right before the hour of joy, and the account replied with, "The error is on your end. Ours say September 16th, 2002, which is extremely interesting because 2002 is well after the hour of joy in 1995 and was well before we re-entered the factory in 2005. So it seems this next ARG is actually going to be taking place both before the events that happen in the game and after the factory close, and possibly means, like I theorized in other videos, that this next ARG and chapter 4 will be focused on what happened after the hour of joy to make the factory how it was. And plus, even more intriguing, if there is someone messaging us through this account in 2002, it also sort of implies that there had to be survivors from the hour of joy to be able to message us from this account. So this all gives us a ton of questions and things to theorize about. That was the last thing the Playtime Co account said before it went completely offline for a couple days now. Maybe it'll come back in the coming days to give us more little teasers teasers and breadcrumbs while we wait for the announcement on September 30th, so make sure you're subscribed to not miss any of those updates when they finally come, and while we wait, watch this video on the last ARG update to make sure you're caught up.